Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Speak and Listen English. I'm Emma, and I'm absolutely delighted to be here with all of you today.
Hi, Emma, and a warm hello to our amazing listeners around the world. I'm Jack, and I'm really looking forward to diving into today's topic. We're going to explore something that touches so many of us, using English in the workplace.
That's absolutely right, Jack. Whether you're just beginning your professional journey or you've been in your career for quite some time, English continues to play a significant role in workplaces across the globe. Today, we'll be discussing several everyday scenarios where English comes into play at work, such as composing emails, interpreting reports, and actively engaging in meetings.
Perfectly said, Emma. And before we get started, we'd like to ask a small favor from our valued listeners. If you find our podcast helpful and enjoy the content we create, please consider taking a moment to subscribe to our channel. Your support truly enables us to produce more valuable resources for you.
Yes, please do subscribe. And if this episode resonates with you, don't hesitate to give it a like. It helps us understand which topics you'd like to hear more about. Also, if you have any questions, thoughts, or feedback about today's discussion, we warmly invite you to share them in the comments section below. We genuinely love connecting with you. All right, let's begin. One of the most frequent ways we use English professionally is through email communication. Jack, what would you say are some essential considerations when crafting professional emails in English?
That's an excellent question, Emma. When composing work-related emails in English, two principles stand out: clarity and brevity. Your message should be straightforward and easy to follow. Equally important is maintaining a courteous and professional tone throughout. For instance, rather than writing, "Send me the report," a more polished approach would be, "Would you mind sending me the report when you get a chance?" Or, "I'd be grateful if you could share the report at your convenience." These alternatives convey respect and professionalism.
That's a really useful suggestion. Now, what about the opening of an email? What are some appropriate ways to greet the recipient?
Great point. If you're addressing someone you know by name, a classic opening is "Dear name" followed by a comma. For example, "Dear Michael." When writing to a team or a group of names you may not all know, friendly and inclusive options include "Dear team," "Hello everyone," or "Hi all."
Very helpful. And how should we close an email professionally?
Common and widely accepted closings include "Sincerely," "Best regards," "Kind regards," or simply "Thank you," followed by your full name. If you have a more familiar working relationship with the recipient, "Best" or "Thanks" can work well as slightly more casual alternatives.
Good to keep in mind. Now, let's focus on the main content of the email. What guidance would you offer for structuring the body of a professional message?
Start by clearly stating the purpose of your email in the first few sentences. Let the reader know right away what you're requesting, sharing, or following up on. Break your content into short, focused paragraphs, and consider using bullet points when listing multiple items or action steps. This approach enhances readability and helps your recipient process the information more efficiently.
That's fantastic advice. No one appreciates wading through a dense, unstructured message. What about attachments? How should we reference them properly?
Whenever you include a file, always mention it explicitly in the email body. A simple phrase like, "Please find attached the quarterly summary for your reference," or "I've included the updated proposal as an attachment," ensures the recipient doesn't overlook it. You might also briefly describe what the attachment contains and why it's relevant.
That makes perfect sense. So, to recap for our audience, when writing professional emails in English, aim for clarity, conciseness, politeness, and professionalism. Choose suitable greetings and closings, structure your message logically, and always acknowledge any attachments.
Well summarized, Emma. Now let's turn our attention to another key workplace skill: understanding and working with reports. Reports often contain specialized terminology, data sets, and structured formats. What strategies can help learners engage with them more confidently in English?
That's a thoughtful question, Jack. Reports can feel overwhelming initially, especially when they include industry-specific language. One effective strategy is to build familiarity with core business vocabulary relevant to your field. Many reputable websites, professional associations, and online learning platforms offer glossaries and terminology guides that can support this process.
Absolutely, and never hesitate to seek clarification when something isn't clear. If a term, abbreviation, or data point is confusing, it's always better to ask a teammate, supervisor, or mentor for a brief explanation than to proceed based on an incorrect assumption.
Completely agree. Another practical tip, many reports begin with an executive summary or overview section. These are designed to highlight the main objectives, findings, and recommendations. Reading this section first can provide helpful context before diving into the details.
Yes, and don't overlook visual elements like charts, graphs, tables, or infographics. These tools often simplify complex information and can reinforce your understanding. Take time to review titles, access labels, legends, and footnotes. They frequently contain essential context.
That's a great reminder. Additionally, if you're ever asked to present insights from a report in English, try practicing a concise summary in your own words beforehand. This not only strengthens your comprehension, but also boosts your confidence when sharing key takeaways with others.
Well said, Emma. Also, be mindful of acronyms and abbreviations, which are common in professional documents. If you encounter one you don't recognize, jot it down and look it up later, or ask a colleague. Some reports even include a glossary section at the end for reference.
Definitely. Mastering the language of reports empowers you to stay informed, contribute meaningfully to discussions, and make well-grounded decisions at work. All right, Jack, let's move on to another frequent workplace situation, participating in meetings. Engaging in discussions in a second language can feel daunting. What are some practical phrases for sharing opinions or requesting clarification during English language meetings?
That's a highly relevant topic, Emma. Meetings are central to teamwork and decision-making in many organizations. When you'd like to share your viewpoint, gentle and professional openers include, "From my perspective," or "In my view," or "I think it might be helpful to consider." These phrases invite dialogue without sounding overly assertive.
Those are excellent starters. And what if you want to show agreement with a colleague's idea?
You might say, "I completely agree with name on that point," or "That's a really valuable insight. Thank you for sharing it." Simple affirmations like these foster a collaborative atmosphere.
And how can someone express disagreement respectfully?
Polite disagreement can be framed constructively. "I understand where you're coming from, and I'd like to offer a slightly different angle." Or, "That's an interesting approach. Have we also considered—" The key is to focus on ideas, not individuals, and to keep the tone supportive.
Very well put. Now, what about moments when you need to ask for clarification because the conversation moved quickly or a point wasn't fully clear?
In those situations, it's perfectly acceptable and often appreciated to ask for repetition or elaboration. Helpful phrases include, "Could you please go over that part again?" Or, "I want to make sure I understood correctly. Did you mean?" Or, "When you mentioned term, could you clarify what that refers to?"
Those are incredibly practical. What if you'd like to build on someone else's contribution?
You can smoothly join the conversation with phrases like, "Adding to what Name just said," or "I'd like to expand on that idea by suggesting," or "That reminds me of a related point worth considering." These help you contribute while acknowledging others' input.
Excellent guidance. It's also worth noting that meetings can vary in formality. Observing the overall tone, whether structured and formal or relaxed and informal, can help you adjust your language choices accordingly.
Precisely. And for those facilitating meetings in English, speaking at a moderate pace, enunciating clearly, and periodically summarizing key decisions or action items can greatly support inclusion and understanding for all participants.
That's a valuable tip for meeting leaders. For everyone else, practicing active listening, focusing on both verbal content and nonverbal cues, like facial expressions or gestures, can deepen comprehension and engagement.
Absolutely. And if English isn't your first language, keeping a small notebook handy to jot down key words, decisions, or follow-up tasks during the meeting can be a simple yet powerful strategy for retention and follow-through.
That's a very practical suggestion. Now, Jack, let's discuss another routine workplace practice, sharing progress updates, particularly in daily stand-up meetings. These brief check-ins typically involve 3 core questions. What kind of language is commonly used in these contexts?
In stand-ups, communication tends to be direct, efficient, and action-oriented. The classic framework is, what did I accomplish yesterday? What will I work on today? And are there any obstacles preventing progress?
Right. For the first question, what did I do yesterday? You might say, yesterday I finalized the client presentation slides, or I completed testing for the checkout feature and documented the results. Using the past simple tense helps convey completed actions clearly.
Exactly. For what am I planning to do today, present continuous or going to structures work well. Today, I'm starting the integration with the payment gateway, or I'm going to draft the user guide for the new module.
And for are there any blockers? It's helpful to be specific yet concise. I'm currently waiting on access credentials from the IT team, or the design approval is pending, which is holding up the next development phase. The goal is to flag issues early so the team can support resolution.
Well explained. And remember, stand-ups are meant to be quick, usually 10 to 15 minutes, so focus on high-level updates rather than deep dives. Save detailed discussions for follow-up conversations.
Good reminder. Sometimes progress updates are shared in writing, such as in a daily log or weekly summary email. How might the language differ in those cases?
Written updates often use slightly more formal phrasing in complete sentences. For example, instead of fixed login bug, you might write, I successfully identified and resolved the authentication error affecting user login, and the fix has been deployed to the staging environment for verification.
That adds clarity and professionalism. Now, when a task is fully completed, how might someone communicate that effectively to their team or manager?
You could say, I've completed the onboarding workflow updates, or the Q3 performance report is now finalized and ready for review. It's also helpful to mention next steps or dependencies. I've shared the draft with the marketing team and am awaiting their feedback before proceeding to final approval.
That creates a clear handoff and shows proactive communication. Now, Jack, let's consider one-on-one check-ins with a manager or supervisor. These conversations often cover performance, goals, and professional growth. What language patterns can support productive discussions in these settings?
One-on-ones benefit from thoughtful, reflective communication. When discussing your contributions, you might say, over the past month, I focused on improving response times for customer inquiries, and I've seen a 20% reduction in average handling time. Supporting statements with concrete examples adds credibility.
Yes, evidence-based updates are powerful. If you've taken initiative or exceeded expectations, it's appropriate to highlight that. I proposed a new template for client reports, which the team has now adopted as the standard format.
And when addressing challenges, frame them constructively. I've encountered a delay with the third-party API integration and am exploring alternative solutions. I'd welcome your thoughts on the best path forward. This shows problem-solving awareness and openness to collaboration.
These meetings are also ideal for discussing development goals. You might express interest by saying, I'm eager to deepen my skills in data visualization, or I'd love to take on more responsibility in client-facing projects when opportunities arise.
Exactly. And don't forget to invite feedback. How do you feel my approach to project planning has been? Or is there an area you think I could focus on to have even greater impact? This demonstrates humility and a growth mindset.
Preparing ahead of time, jotting down key points, achievements, or questions can help ensure the conversation stays focused and productive.
Absolutely. A short agenda, even if informal, shows respect for your manager's time and helps you make the most of the meeting. Now, Emma, let's shift slightly. We've covered many task-oriented uses of English at work, but what about the interpersonal side? How can learners use English to build rapport with colleagues and nurture positive workplace relationships?
That's such an important dimension, Jack. Strong professional relationships often begin with small, genuine interactions. In casual settings, like a coffee break or before a meeting starts, simple, friendly questions can open the door. How's your week going so far? Did you get a chance to try that new cafe nearby? Or how was your weekend?
And when sharing about yourself, keep it light and relatable. I had a lovely weekend, spent some time gardening and caught up with old friends. Or it was a quiet one for me. I recharged with a good book and some walks. Authenticity matters more than perfection.
If you'd like to show interest in a colleague's work, you might ask, "How's the new campaign rollout progressing?" Or, "I heard you were leading the client workshop. How did it go?" These questions signal engagement and support.
And when talking about your own projects, you can say, "I'm currently working on streamlining the onboarding process. It's challenging, but really rewarding." Or, "I just wrapped up the user research phase, and the insights are already shaping our next steps."
What about extending invitations for informal gatherings after work? How might someone do that naturally in English?
Casual invitations can be warm and low pressure. A few of us are planning to grab dinner after work on Thursday. Would you like to join? Or, if you're free later, there's a great rooftop bar nearby. Fancy checking it out? Or, we're organizing a team coffee walk tomorrow morning at 9. Care to come along?
And if you need to decline politely,
A gracious response might be, "Thank you so much for thinking of me. That sounds wonderful, but I've already committed to something else this evening. I'd love to join next time, though." Or, "I really appreciate the invite. I'm a bit swamped this week, but please keep me in mind for future plans."
that balance of warmth and honesty helps maintain positive connections. Now, as the workday wraps up, what are some natural ways to say goodbye in English?
Simple and sincere closings work best. "Have a great evening. Enjoy your night." Or on Fridays, "Have a wonderful weekend. You've earned it." If you're leaving a shared space, "See you tomorrow," or "Take care, everyone," adds a friendly touch.
And if you know a colleague has had a particularly demanding day, a thoughtful note like, "Hope you get some well-deserved rest tonight," can mean a lot.
These small moments of connection, though brief, contribute significantly to a supportive, inclusive workplace culture. They remind us that language isn't just about tasks, it's about people.
Absolutely, Jack. To bring our conversation full circle, today we've explored how English functions across multiple workplace contexts, from crafting clear emails and interpreting reports to contributing in meetings, sharing updates in stand-ups, navigating one-on-one conversations, and fostering relationships through everyday social exchanges.
Yes, and we sincerely hope the phrases, strategies, and mindset tips we shared empower our listeners to engage more confidently and effectively in their English-speaking professional environments.
Remember, language growth is a journey. Progress comes not from perfection, but from consistent practice and willingness to engage. Don't hesitate to use English whenever you can. Even small attempts build momentum over time.
And please be kind to yourself along the way. Mistakes aren't setbacks, they're valuable learning opportunities. Every fluent speaker once started exactly where you are now.
As we wrap up today's episode of Speak and Listen English, we want to express our heartfelt gratitude for your time and attention. It's a privilege to learn and grow alongside you.
Thank you, everyone. Before we sign off, we'd like to extend one final invitation. If this episode added value to your day, please consider subscribing to Speak and Listen English, and feel free to share it with a friend, colleague, or fellow learner who might benefit. Together, we can make professional English more accessible to all.
And we'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below with your reflections on today's topic, questions you'd like us to address, or ideas for future episodes. Your feedback shapes our content and helps us serve you better.
Thank you again for being part of our community. We're already looking forward to our next conversation. Until then, keep practicing, stay curious, and take care.
Bye for now, and have a truly wonderful day. Speak and listen English, learning together one conversation at a time.